I'm Kamal Khan, and we manufacture beds and mattresses here, and we have been doing for the last 20 years. Altogether, I've probably been in the industry for about 28 years because I worked for different companies before I set myself up. You know, it's been a good experience, and it's been a good kind of a knowledgeable experience that I gained and before we started ourselves up. So there's me and 3 other colleagues that I've set up, and it was back in 2001. That's the experience that I had, you see. I mean, I'd been working for other companies. It was one of them opportunities that just happened kind of overnight, and we got together and we decided to start up. We never kind of looked back, if you know what I mean. There's no like plan or such or something. We just sat down together, and then from there on we decided, yeah, let's give it a go. It was back in 2001, and it was tough to get going, and obviously there was that many manufacturers in the industry already. It was tough to get into. For 6 months to about 8 months, it was a bit of a struggle. It was hard work. But once you like kind of scratch the surface, it's, you know, you get going and you kind of never look back. Basically, we did the marketing ourselves. We had the samples, we got the samples ready, and we just did initially it was like door to door, knocked on different doors like to retailers up and down the country. And eventually we got some sales agents in. We got a guy from the south, and then we got northeast and the northwest and everything. Then eventually you just kind of build on. Like I said, we never had the chance to look back and say why we did this or why we didn't do this. We just carried on. When we first started, it was like 2 other colleagues. We used to work together at one of the bedding manufacturers beforehand, and we kind of got together, and then there was a 3rd guy which was a family friend. So, like I said, we got together and set up, and then we just, by word of mouth, basically, we just got the staff from here, there. There were some family members involved, but eventually it was just like, we just kind of grew and grew. So slowly, there's no plan as such, but just as the work came in, the business grew as well. Yeah, when we first started, I'd say there'd be probably about 30 manufacturers, anything from like 10 employees to about 300 employees. There was some that were really big, and they'd been in the industry for like probably 20 years before us. But now I think not short of 300 manufacturers in this small area, like Dewsbury, Batley, Hetman White, Ravensthorpe, whatever. There's over like 300 manufacturers. But then again, you got smaller manufacturers as well. I don't think many people know about the industry or how much the industry reflects to the economy within Kirklees. Not just the manufacturers, you've got the suppliers, and there's that many suppliers here as well of the bedding industry. So collectively, the bedding industry itself has probably got maybe 10,000-15,000 employees. Competition, obviously, with that many people around, manufacturers around, we're all kind of supplying the same retailers. And then the other challenges was that the online business was kind of tough as well, because they like competing against the shops. So whereas the shops got the overheads, but overall I think there's all kinds of challenges, but we have to overcome them. We didn't get much support from anybody really as such, so we just did it all ourselves because it's all new to us. I mean, we'd worked in the industry, but obviously working in the industry and then manufacturing yourself is a totally different ballgame. So we learnt as we went along. What you have to do is you have to improve, and you have to kind of come up with something new all the time, something different, and obviously something that's going to be new in the market. You have to introduce new textiles, new fabrics, new way to make new combinations of mattresses or divan bases, or you have to do research and development, you see. Basically, you have to keep moving on, basically. You just have to keep finding new ideas and new selling points. I mean, there would be different things. Obviously, you think back and you think you should have done this and you should have done that. Yes, there would be, but to be fair, in all honesty, I think we've done well where we are now at the moment. You can't really grumble. Like I said, we never look back, and it's all been good in a sense. The pandemic itself hit us quite hard because we only supply the retailers. We don't really do any online business or anything. The retailers were shut for like, I think it was more or less 2/3 of the year. So that's hit us hard, but there was a few customers that kept us going because they were doing like a click and collect service. But other than that, we don't really do a lot of online, or we don't deal with any online customers as such. So it's hit us quite hard, and we have been shut for most of the pandemic. We kind of just about got opened up in April again properly. Busiest time usually is between June to August, because we do a lot of work for the universities and the student lets, and then that is usually the time when they start refurbing all the universities. So usually this time is the busiest time, but at the moment it's quite flat at the minute. I mean, I'd say it's on the quieter side, but that's because of this deadline of 19th of July yet to come and everything. So hopefully past that it should pick up. But usually it's from like June to about end of September that you get all the refurbs, and it's like, I think people decorate their houses and everything at that time of the year. So yeah, it has, because raw materials, I mean, they've gone like up in price, and yet they're not coming through as they should. It's delaying, like say, normally you'd get a delivery from Europe within like 5 days, but now you'll be looking about 3 weeks. That's another thing. Drivers, there's a big shortage of drivers. There's a big shortage of drivers on the way in as well, because it's getting more and more difficult with the EU borders shutting as well. Yeah, we've increased our prices as in wholesale prices. Yeah, we've increased our price because obviously we've had the impact. Our prices have gone up with the raw materials and everything, so we have increased our prices. A day we do probably about 200, 250. It all depends. I mean, you got like your cheap mattress, and then you got mid-range mattress, and you got better end. So if you're probably cheap end bed complete within half an hour, yeah, come start to finish, because you have like a proper assembly line, and everybody's making like a bit by bit, and then by the time it's finished, it's probably about half an hour. Average, I think I'd say about 8 years. Decent bed. I mean, you get what you pay for, kind of thing, and you know, like it lasts according to what you pay for. If you get a good quality bed, it should last you about 8 years. Just an ordinary cheap bed would be probably just about a couple of layers of springs, foam bits and mats put together. That'll be done quite easily. And then you get onto the better beds, you've got different layers. You've got to either glue it, assemble it differently, and basically it takes time to tailor it as well. Yeah, they can brand it themselves. There's a couple of companies that we brand for them, because they give us all their labels and as such, and then we brand it under their brand. It's in different stages, so that each person does their own job, if you know what I mean. They start off with like a pre-assembly, main assembly, and then they do the upholstery, and so like down the line there'll be about 6 people working on a bed. The same with the mattress. So they'll start off with the assembly of the spring, and then the quilting, then the clipping, then the taping, and then there's about 5 people. Well, first advice I'd give them is basically whatever you think of doing, is make sure you've got enough experience in what you're going to do. Obviously, if you're only starting with a reasonable amount, so I'd say basically make sure you've got the experience in what you're going to do, because you can't totally depend on stuff. You have to know what's going on. Do a bit of research of what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. I mean, make sure you've got all your, like I said, your plans, your market plans and everything in place before you start off. I'd like to have young apprentices go into is the actual mechanics of the machines, the repairing and the maintenance of the machines. Yeah. That's what I'd like to see people go into, because there's a very big shortage in you know, trying to get hold of a mechanic might be 3 weeks. I mean, we're just going to carry on and basically move along as times go on. Just keep developing, keep bringing in new ideas. You don't know what's around the corner. Post-Brexit, post-COVID, anything and everything. And nothing's going to be a surprise, if you know what I mean.